Kia ora and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
I'm Matthew, and today we've got a familiar face on here, but there's something a little bit different. This is the new Skoda Octavia RS or VRS, depending on where you are, but it's also got an IV badge on the back.
That's right, so it's a PHEV Skoda that's basically sustainable and sporty. Come, let's take a look at this. Now, as Matthew said about the VRS and the RS, depending on where you are, what I really like about the fact is now Skoda are now talking very Skoda-ish. So I have to put on my Sean Connery accent when I'm speaking about it now. It's very good. Speaking of accents, this IV has basically got tons of black accents all around. So if you look at the grille here, or the grille, the Skoda grille has now got black all around here. You've got black down the lower apron. You've got black around the air vents. Your fog lights here are now LED, so you're very much brighter. But really, you can tell that it's, well, yeah, the VRS or the RS badging, making sure that you know that it's part of the performance arm. But also, when you look at the back and you see that there's an IV, you know that there's some form of, I don't know, environmental conscience going on. But before we get there, let's look round the side. As I said, there's more actual black accents, I'm going to give that up, around the side here. So around the window trims around here, also the black door mirrors here. The wheels are 18 inches and, you know, pretty low profile with nice bright red calipers, brake calipers going on. And the all-important plug-in part of the hybrid here, which I'll get to all the details on that in a minute, but that goes to the battery and then goes onto the electrical motor, and you know the drill. Again, more of the black accents back here, the black Skoda writing, the VRS is in black, and also the IV, which for those that don't know, actually means intelligent vehicle, which is fine coming from a brand that boasts simply clever, which is good. Down the bottom here is a sort of fake diffuser, which is fine, and also sort of fake-ish exhaust sort of trims, but there is an exhaust behind them, so it's kind of fake meets real. You know, life's like that. Also, kicker tailgate that opens up to 490 litres of extra room in here. And also, those that are worried about petrol, it comes with a 40-litre fuel tank, which is only 5 litres less than its fully fossil-fueled equivalent. So not bad. Let's take a look under the bonnet. What we have here is a very familiar 1.4-litre TSI engine from Skoda, and also it's strapped or mated with an 85 kilowatt electrical motor. Together they give you 180 kilowatts of power and 400 newton meters of torque, so plenty. It's also, as well as it being efficient, it also gives out just 30 grams of CO2 out of the twin exhaust out the back, so plenty going on from there. Actually, not plenty going on. that's one thing. Powering up all this electric stuff behind the scenes is a 37 amp hour or 13 kilowatt hour battery that will basically give this an electrical range of around about 60 k's. So actually not bad for your daily commute, so as long as you plug in when you get home. Speaking of things that are electrically charged, Matthew's inside and he'll show you what's going on with that.
While there isn't so much electricity flowing through me, thankfully, there's certainly plenty of electrics on the interior of this car, as it is with many new cars. So let's start off with those seats. Well, firstly, they are electronically adjustable for both the driver and passenger, and you get plenty of side bolstering. You get this perforated sort of fabric material, which is also quilted, nice touch there, and the RS badge is embossed into the back. They are a really nice option, and in some countries you can get them with leather and Alcantara as well. Speaking of Alcantara, well, we have plenty of that going on in the door panels as well as the dashboard there. As you can see, Alcantara flowing all the way through with that red contrast stitching for that proper RS experience. In terms of build quality, well, it is a Skoda, so you have Some nice squidgy plastics on the top there, some more soft plastics there, and of course a little bit of scratchy plastics here and there, which is to be expected, of course. Skodas are notoriously famous for being simply clever, of course, so this car certainly holds up to that. You get door bins which are lined with a sort of fabric material to prevent your stuff in there from jiggling about. You get wireless phone charging here, along with 2 USB-C ports. You get 2 cup holders, plenty of space for your Skoda IV keep cup. You get a special slot for your key there, that's a nice touch, and a decent bit of storage under there as well, so plenty around to satisfy a family's needs basically. The infotainment screen, well, as you just saw, as soon as I bring my hand close to it, it brings up like additional features and things around there. So this is the home screen. You get, of course, your audio source, a vehicle shortcut, phone, and then your navigation there as well. The really smart thing about Skoda's new infotainment screen is that when you click into climate, there's an option there to warm your feet or your hands or cool your feet. So there's a bunch of shortcuts there that are clever little touches, if you like. Another clever touch is that it only has the slidey sound bar over here, so if you want to turn up the volume, you don't need to worry about adjusting the air conditioning, it's just the volume down here. So another smart touch. And of course, as you can see, the air conditioning is all along the bottom of the screen there, so again, within arm's reach and not too complicated. Specific to this IV model is when you press that driving mode shortcut button, you're presented with this screen. Now there's an E mode, which is pure electric, of course, and then there's hybrid mode. And in hybrid mode, if you turn off the auto setting, you can actually adjust how much you want to charge the battery up to using the petrol engine. So it's quite smart in that way. And the other IV specific features, when you go back to home and you go into the vehicle settings, there's actually a little tab down there that says e-info. Now if you click into that, you can see how much time you've spent emitting no emissions, what sort of mode you're in, and how much range you have using electric only power. So it is quite smart in that way. And then if you click into energy flow, you can actually see where the power is going in terms of the engine feeding the battery, or the other way around, or the wheels charging up the battery, etc, etc. So plenty of information from this screen here. Something else that gives you a lot of information is, of course, the digital dashboard. So let's take a look at that. So in front of you, that digital dashboard, well, right now it's laid out in a more traditional way. So we have the revs on the left and speed on the right. But the key trick with the left gauge is that it also shows your charge and power for the electric system. So it's pretty smart there. And then on the far left, there's of course a battery charge indicator. So it tells you your level of charge, as on the right side you have your level of petrol. So it's quite smart in that way. As you can see as well, it's laid at the back with like a red fake sort of carbon fiber look, so it does have a sporty feel to it while still being economical. Moving forward to the steering wheel, as you can see, it's a nice chunky perforated leather wrapped unit with a flat bottom there and some nice thumb grips. It's also got these shiny adjustable wheels that Skoda like to use in their cars. And then if you want to change the look of the dashboard in front of you, well, just push that button there and it changes to a different view with just your car on the road, and then push it again and you get one with the navigation in the background. So there's plenty of customization options around if you do desire them. Another simply clever feature around here is the fact that, as you can see down there, it says that's your start-stop button for the engine, exactly where you'd expect to find a keyhole in a more traditional car. So that's a clever bit from Skoda, using your nature to just make life a little bit more simple. Well, another simply clever bit is the way this car drives, electric and petrol powertrains together. But before we go and find that out, make sure you subscribe and give us a like as well if you like this video, or even if you didn't like it. Right, the new Skoda Octavia RS IV. Well, what's different, as you found, the major difference in here is, as Dave pointed out earlier, is the change in engine size. So we don't have that 2-liter turbo anymore. We now have a 1.4-liter turbo, and that's combined with that 13 kilowatt hour battery pack. And what that...
And 85 kilowatt motor.
And the 85 kilowatt hour motor, of course. And it produces the same power, basically, in 400 newton meters of torque. So it's more economical, but still the power output hasn't changed. How smart is that?
Yeah, you're right. That's something you don't really go hand in hand. Sort of sustainability, good on the environment, and speed and aggression. Sorry, speed and simply speed. There you go. But this seems to have pulled it off. It's an RS feeling car that you can go in round corners nicely, but still know that you're only emitting 30 grams of CO2 out of the exhaust. Not bad.
And to most people, if you want a virtue signal, that IV badge on the back means that, you know, you're saving the environment. But then car enthusiasts know the RS badge stands for something as well. So it's got that credibility in both sides there.
Yeah, a 1.4 litre engine, you'd go, it's not quite there. But realistically, stick it in sport, you get the engine sounds piped through, and it just picks up nicely, actually to the point where it almost torque steers on the way through. So it's just a very clever system to make sure that you point in the right direction though. So bonus. And speaking of bonus, tell them.
Well, the real trick with sport mode is that you actually charge the battery up faster. What we found is that in normal and eco modes, the car will only top up the battery if you're following somebody and then using regenerative braking essentially to top up the battery. But when you're in sport mode, it'll use that, not only the coasting but also the braking much more aggressively to top up the battery. So we've, just by using sport mode for a little bit, we've gone from 7% to 21% in terms of battery power. So that just gives you an idea of how much more stronger the charge is in that mode.
Yeah, so think a bit like in other cars where you pull it back and put it into brake mode. So the moment you lift off your accelerator, you start braking and using that regenerative braking. That's essentially where sport mode is. If you're in normal or eco, it just sort of seems to cruise a little bit more when you're not putting the foot down. And putting the foot down is a good thing. 7.3 seconds 0 to 100, which is not bad, because what it does, it uses, I think it's 330 Newton meters of torque from the moment you kick off. So of that 400, you're only missing out on 70 Newton meters off the mark. So not bad.
And one of the unique things with this RS IV is that it actually has to ride higher than the petrol or diesel Octavia RS models, and that's because of the battery pack adding that extra weight. I think it's 180 or 200 kilos of extra weight. So the car sits a little bit higher, but
it's sport.
But it doesn't affect the sporty factor at all. Like going around corners, the handling, the balance, everything is really, the difference is not noticeable at all.
The other thing, when it comes to comfort, the seats, as Matthew pointed out, are great. They're really supportive. I love the RS seats. Visibility is pretty good. The wing mirrors, I think, are slightly small for this sort of size vehicle. They're sort of almost like Fabia sort of size, I think. And the fake sort of engine noise is great when you're in the car. It doesn't sound so great when you're outside, but who wants to be outside? And what's the other thing I'm not overly enamored about? Yeah, is the actual trying to get the petrol engine to charge your battery. It is a little bit complicated, and you have to set it up every time you get in if you want to use that. You can actually limit it to 50% or whatever percentage you do, so you can actually get your 60Ks down to 30Ks and just go down to there, but it just seems a little bit tiresome to keep having to do that every time you get in.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the car won't consciously charge up the battery as it would, I guess, in most hybrids. You have to enable that setting. And Skodas are clever, but the engineers who designed this infotainment screen seem to be even more clever, because it's quite hard to go into the modes and change all those settings around and maintain your minimum battery percentage. So it takes a bit of getting used to, but it's something that time will fix, basically.
Yeah, I think exactly that. If it was your vehicle, you'd know where it was, or also you'd probably have your wall box at home and charge it at night anyway. So 60Ks is pretty good. As far as balance go, it actually feels quite like quite a light car to drive. Like I said, the power to the front wheel drive means that it picks up nicely, but also there's not that much sort of body roll when you're into the corners. It just hugs quite nicely. As most Skoda RSs do. So again, you're not missing out on anything by having the IV on the end.
And what's really funny is that sitting in here with these, you know, sporty seats and the noise and the cornering and all that stuff makes it feel like a hot hatchback. But then when you get out and you have a look around the car, really you're carrying all that length of wagon behind you everywhere you go. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, 490 litres is tons of stuff for, I don't know, whatever else you want to carry around or have a family or something that you need in there.
Obviously the highlight of Skoda's cars are the Simply Clever bits. So, well, what does this have? This has the parking ticket holder. It's got a slot for the umbrella, but somebody appears to have nicked our one. It should have a torch at the boot area, but it doesn't. But what it does have is various bits to keep all your luggage in check. It's got hooks for your carry bags. You know, the door bins are all lined with felt, and all those sort of smart bits that we expect from Skoda are all in here.
Even the stuff for the windscreen washers has got that little sort of, what do you call it? The funnel thing, yeah, which is quite good. So it is simply clever, simply efficient, and simply fast. So there you have it, the new Skoda, I've got to do it, Octavia RS IV RSVP. It really is very efficient, pretty darn fast actually, and spacious and very clever. Oh, simply clever.
No matter where you are in the world, whether you call it RS or VRS or whatever, it's undeniable that this is a really good sporty wagon.
Yep, and we love sporty wagons. A bit of a break from an SUV. Oh, by the way, I've got an umbrella I can sell you if you want it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. It's around here somewhere. And not sure what we've got next. I think it may be a Ram, but you never know. See ya.